Good evening and welcome to another edition of Splattercast. Today, we are giving you our, I guess, non-spoiler. I'm not going to spoil anything in this. We didn't really
Are we
talk about it.
not? That's
You
gonna
know
be
what?
rough.
I think we should. Okay, so this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. It is on Netflix, so you can check it out at your leisure. But we're going to be doing a spoiler-free, no, a spoiler review of Stranger Things
Riddled
season
with
4.
spoilers. I mean,
Yes.
because it's like, listen, this came out what, Friday,
Yeah.
so
And we
this
were
is
recording
now,
this on Sunday,
and
so.
this will be for Monday. So I
Mhm.
mean, why the hell are you trying to watch a review when you've had days to watch it? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I
Just
guess. Some people are weird though, man. They don't have the time to designate to it, so they want to
so they're
stay
gonna
in the
watch
know.
us
And
for 30 to 40 minutes, please.
hey, I
That
don't
is
know.
a that is a horrible designation of your time.
Hey, I have done that. I've listened to podcasts for movies I haven't seen just because I'm curious. It's stuff that I'm into. So you know, don't
All
judge,
right.
asshole. Um,
Whatever. Hey man, I understand if it's a movie from the 80s, but if it just came out and you're
fair,
looking for it is I don't know.
but
It's
this
far fetched.
this is set in the '80s, so I guess this counts.
Man, I never would have guessed that this was set in the 80s.
I know,
It's not
right?
like that it's like so heavily pounded into your head that you would have ever guessed that it was in the 80s.
Oh yeah. But all jokes aside, all kidding aside, yeah, we got to check this thing out. We aren't big enough to get any screeners or anything like that, so we watched it right alongside with everybody else. I
Maybe
know
one
it's
day.
I know it's kind of been a joke on Sunday Scaries that I have been just delaying this whole first half of Stranger Things. Like I watched like an episode before we had to talk about it for the first time, and then I watched like 4 episodes, and then I like procrastinated the last like three, and then this one I was just like I'm gonna do it. I'm going to
Fully commit.
commit, and I'm gonna get it done so that way we can post this on the 4th. And I did it, guys. I watched all 4 hours this weekend of
Do you
Stranger
regret it?
Things. um I honestly, like, I think I didn't like the pressure of having to watch it because,
Yeah.
like, I feel like it was more of a chore that way than it was of me, like, just sitting down and watching it at my leisure. Um, which is fine. I mean, like, obviously I want to get my thoughts on it and everything, but you should also know, if you've been following us or if you don't, I have been pretty lukewarm on this season uh, thus far. Like, I really haven't been the most positive about it. Like, it's good, it's fine, but this just feels like, and I guess to really kind of get into my full thoughts on the season, we should share those first. Is just that I thought that this was just the most middle of the road season for me. I think it's a little better than season two, but it's right about there for me, where it's like I think that season one is really great. I think that that really sets the tone well, and the kids are great, and everything's. There was just so much that we didn't know yet. And then I think that season three is the best of the entire series. I think that everything that happens in that is so much fun. It's got me on this like wild ride. I think we play with a lot of character emotions in that,
Yeah.
and just where they leave it with everybody splitting off and stuff. It's just a really solid gut punch, and a good majority of that. And I think all the characters are firing on all cylinders. As to where this one, we kind of knew everybody was going to be split up, but it was kind of my assumption that by like midway through the season they'd get together. But
Yeah.
no, they keep them split up until the very like last 15 to 20 minutes of this season. And I don't know if that was such a good idea.
Well, and I think that's a problem here where I think we've touched on it because we've covered Stranger Things a few times in the Sunday Scaries where the cast, the additions of so many different characters without killing any of these characters, the cast has become so big you can't keep them on screen. And I know we're talking about season four, and I love season one. I think season three is great. I enjoy season two a lot as well. I think a lot we're so far removed from season two that I think a lot of people forget a lot of the positives that happened in season two with like Dustin and Steve and us really coming into loving Steve.
I will have to
Um,
go back and give it another watch because, to be honest, like, it's the season I remember the least about.
yeah. And it's like, Dustin and Steve kind of go off and do their own thing. And that was such a big positive. And like, that was really the first time we had seen them break a group up. And I remember when me and you had talked about it, may have been for By Admission, I brought up that point is I love that they kind of kept them all separated for a certain period of time and then they all came back together because that emotion when everyone's for the most part thinks 11 is dead after season 1
Yeah.
and because Hopper keeps it a secret and then she goes off and does her own thing for a while and then that emotion when she walks through the door finally and Mike sees her and all this and it's like it's heavy and emotion. A lot of people forget that stuff, but going back to where they had kept everyone separated, it was such in season 2, it was such a unique way to do it. And then they had it's been the formula for like the past 3 seasons. And I think it's kind of like one of those things where as an audience, you love the show so much, but you start figuring out exactly how they do everything and you get a little bored with it.
That is probably the best way that this can be summed up for me too, is just that you do get kind of bored. I was pretty bored with a good majority of this season, just because it is predictable at this point. Like, I mean, before the big twist, like you had teased that there was a pretty big twist in this. I and being late to the game a little bit by being like a week or two behind everybody on these episodes, I kind of pieced it together. I didn't have it spoiled for me, but I could just, I think the more time that I had in between episodes to marinate on everything and think about it, like it did, because the way that they were cutting it together between 11 seeing herself as young and all this, I was like, okay, so like the massacre that we saw at the beginning of this, that happened in the past.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the stiff we're seeing her as an adult, she's just going back and reliving that. So it's just kind of like the fact that they were like, oh, uh, she sent him in there and then he the I guess the consensus is that he created the upside down the way that it is now. Like it was always been there, but he enabled it and brought all the toxic weird tentacle shit into it.
I don't know exactly. I didn't necessarily pick up on that. I just assumed he kind of harnessed it in a sense and created
Okay.
his own little thing in there because I mean the upside down existed prior to one being put into the upside down. It was just 11 kind of opening the gateway to put him there. So I think he kind of harnessed using his power some of the stuff, some of the things in the upside down. So I don't know. I think I'm a little hazy on that. I haven't really I guess I never gave that too much thought. I just assumed he kind of it's like taming a beast. It's something
Yeah.
that's wild out there in the upside down and he's able to harness it with his power and kind of use it to
Manipulated,
his
because we
advantage. Yeah.
see we see 11 being able to do that throughout the series.
Yes.
Um, and I just think that yeah, you said we summed it up great with it just kind of being boring. I think that's one of the problems I have, especially like since we're talking spoilers, is how they handle the character of Eddie in the end. I know we
Yes.
had some points on that. Before I get into any more negatives, I do just want to rattle off my positives because we tend to talk and then I'll lose my space again and I'll realize looking back, oh, I only said nasty shit about this. I do have some good things to say. The characters, all of them of themselves, as far as the actors go, everybody's doing a fantastic job. I don't think there's a weak actor in the entire series. I think everybody, it works well with what they're given. I love a lot of the emotional beats with Hopper. Uh, when they reunite Hopper and 11 at the end, I love that. I think that that is some of my favorite stuff in this entire show. Seeing their surrogate father daughter relationship type deal. They really nail that, I think, every time it's brought up, and it was nice to see them reunite, especially
Yeah.
after everything that happens with Max and just how like that just I have issues with that as well. But I would say that that was great. The visuals were great, and I think my last highlight that I'll give is, although I don't necessarily like where it went, I do think that Vecna is a strong, intimidating, great-looking villain.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess to clarify my thoughts, I wouldn't say the whole season was boring. I think that
No.
the break that we had in coming back, I think the last 2 episodes were kind of like, and maybe it was an anticipation thing. I just felt very let down in a sense with the final 2 episodes of this. But Going into the positives of it, I remember being hesitant on Eddie's character at the very beginning. I thought he was overplaying it a little bit. I came to, I guess, I didn't love Eddie. I don't have the love for Eddie like a lot of people do. I think he was a fun new character, but I could take him or leave him. I do enjoy Argyle. I think that was a great addition to the cast. I love the dark tone. I think that type of stuff that they were doing there was a lot of fun. We haven't really seen that in Stranger Things. They haven't really leaned into that horror aspect like they had in season 4, which was very welcomed for me. The effects I think were great. Vecna is, I think, um, probably the strongest villain that we've had in any of these. I'm glad we didn't really get necessarily a resolution with him in any sense. He'll most likely be back for season 5. It looks like.
Yeah, he's
Um,
gonna be. I could tell just also from uh, another thing that kind of annoyed me. So I don't forget to mention this is that I knew from probably I think the very first few minutes. I'm like, okay, they're not gonna kill this guy this season
yeah,
because there's too much. He's just got too much of a presence. He's too powerful, and also after his reveal of being number one, it was like, no, they're not going to kill him. There's no way
yeah,
because like they can't. And like I'll let you get back on what you were saying because I don't want to take over, but like they can't keep doing this thing where they're introducing stronger and stronger villains because like season two's villain I know at the time was kind of perceived as the end all be all like biggest threat in the upside down.
yeah,
And then, season three's villain, not so much, but it's still a threat in and of itself. Because I like the way that they use it as more like an unhinged wild animal with no sentience. But then Vecna comes in and it's just like, okay, this is like way worse than the Mind Flare. Like this
yeah,
seems way stronger, and I just that inconsistency bothers me a bit.
yeah. But going back to the positives, Vecna I do enjoy. I'm glad that we're going to get more of him. Um, I liked where they were going. As we had talked about, the kids are getting older. Maybe there's a little bit of a disconnect there, especially from like season 1, where it's very I would put it like ET esque, where it's like it's a real fun kind of running around hiding 11 from the parents and all this stuff. But what I did like with season 4 was this whole Hellfire Club, Dungeons and Dragons, where Lucas is also trying to conform a little bit and lead that kind of practical sports kind of high school
Popular
experience.
kid,
Yeah.
kinda, yeah.
And trying to juggle all, still being friends with Mike and Dustin. I did enjoy that because that is something like it felt organic and natural. It wasn't like shoehorned in there. And I love that they kind of gave Lucas a little something extra to do there where he was a little bit of the focus. But I kinda going into something I didn't really like was, like, looking back, like, on season 2 where, like, Dustin and, whatever remember when he found the little, Demodog thing? I forgot what he named
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
but
yeah, Dart.
yes, Dart, and it was like, looking back at that, you're like, "Oh, everyone had something very significant to do," and, like, in this one, it was very much we're all kind of getting lost in the shuffle because we're all grouped together, and, like,
Yeah,
that was a bit of a problem.
some characters had moments, but I agree with you, not everybody had their moment, and, like,
Yeah.
that's kinda that was definitely a little bit disheartening to hear because like I think Lucas had a lot of really strong moments this season. I thought that his a lot of his stuff was great, like you said, with him trying to kind of take the traditional route of playing sports and joining up with this crew. I thought the bully, the head jock, was a great secondary antagonist.
Yeah.
He's just playing that classic role of that douchey jock, kind of like Keith Sutherland's character from Stand By Me in a sense. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like, there's nothing superhuman or supernatural about him, but still dangerous. He's still an asshole.
Like
He's still unhinged.
he'd be the villain if there was no upside down. You know what I mean? Like he'd be the
Exactly.
biggest bully, like everyone would hate him. And it's fun to try and balance this kind of um other world with the actual real world problems. It was
Yeah.
fun to actually try and balance that.
And his whole like angle that they took him in of just being like, riling up the town and everything in that big town hall meeting, and just like coming at it from like that religious, like, crazy person kind of
Yeah.
aspect to it, where it's like, I saw the devil and everything like that. And it's like the whole town just kind of, I loved the I thought that they were just going to think that he was stupid and like crazy, how nobody like got up and like cheered and immediately went out. I thought that was a nice misdirect, but they kind of killed it with the guy just being like, well, you heard the kid, let's go. It's like, I just thought that like they were just going to be like, okay, yeah, you need to like take a chill pill, man, because like,
Yeah.
yeah, you might be right that this Eddie Munster dude's weird, but like, Munson dude, not Munster. But like you might be a little right on that, but like he's not, you know, that crazy. But like,
The second
it's,
incarnation of Satan or something.
yeah, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And I just think like those are some strong bits. Like I really think like honestly, I liked the series or the season up till the last two episodes. I think like it was really strong and it had me. Reminder, guys, we're shooting this 4th of July weekend, so
We
there's
are.
quite a bit of popping in the background there for Luke. But hey, we're celebrating, so happy 4th, everybody. Um, Point that I'm just gonna wrap up here with this is just that I think that they really did drop the ball by not giving everybody their specific amount of time, which I think is another negative you can throw on here, because just how long the episodes are and just
Yeah.
how much time they had, and they chose to spend it. Like, we have almost the entire season of 11 being in that laboratory. And
Yeah.
like, I just feel like for the information that we got, it was really dragged out. And like,
Yeah.
I just don't think that it was completely necessary to have us, spend that much time down there.
Yeah.
And why is everybody separated for so long? Like, why do we wait till the very last minute to bring everybody together? I get maybe that crescendo for season 5, but like, I think this season has a bit of an identity crisis.
Yes, and to have the kind of time that they were given, like, that they're asking from an audience to sit there for 2.5 hours, for an hour and a half, continuously, for some of these episodes, and for us to kind of come and be have critique to be, not everyone had a moment or had really a lot of things going on. There should have been numerous amounts of special moments that we could really pick out, but it's really kind
Arcs,
of,
at least,
yeah,
you know?
it's really kind of like, you could take the season and probably run down half a page of bullet points of every character moment, every significant character moment, and really that's it. So it's like they've had a lot of room to play. They just didn't seem to really take advantage of it or know. Like, obviously everything was premeditated. I believe the Duffers knew the direction they were going in, but it really seemed like this season 4 seems just like a probably a giant connector piece to season 5 almost, where you don't really get that much. It's like, okay, we need to hit a certain points just so we can get to season 5 and really go balls to the wall.
Some people are going to hate this comparison, but like, I think that this is an effect off of how they did Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
But this completely pulls its punch when it comes to that um ending, the gut punch. I think that it has been something that I've seen online. It was something before Stranger Things even came up. Again, getting popular. Was right on the cusp of this new season coming out. Saw a meme where it was like, oh, they showed the actor and the picture of Eddie and everything. How they're like, oh, we're gonna add this, quirky, funny, well mannered. We love this character, and then we're just gonna murder him at the end, because they
Yeah.
do that with Bob. They do that with what's the guy's name? The Russian guy in season 3.
Oh, I'm forgetting. I just looked that up too.
Dimitri.
No, no, it's not that. And I'm forgetting.
Oh
I
well,
know.
you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But they do that every season, man, and it's just like, and then they just kill him, and it's just one of those things where I was just like, okay, they're not going to kill Eddie like this time. They that would be way too expected and way too easy, and they do, and they kill him like the same way that Steve was getting attacked
Yeah.
earlier in the season and survived, because it didn't look like he was that strung up. I get that he was being attacked for a little bit longer maybe, but it's just like, I don't know, man. Like it just you've already established that somebody was in this situation and got out. So like how are you gonna use that again, the exact same scenario and situation, but have him not escape and just
Yeah.
die? Like it just felt like, oh, we have to kill this character. Like there was no good reason for him to die. There was no reason for him to not get out of the upside down with Dustin. He literally did that on his own, and I was very frustrated with that.
And that's where for me it kind of didn't make any sense. Where um, I guess from me watching it as the audience, you don't get any credit for killing Eddie because you legitimately introduced him just to kill him. And I
Just
feel
to
like
kill him.
the character was created because the idea was we can't kill any of the main cast, so let's create a new character that we can kill at the end. And for that, you just don't get any credit for it. It's like, um, and I was not really attached to the character of Eddie. And then I was also confused by the character choice at the end there, where um it's just like at one point I asked myself, what are you fighting for? Because he legitimately says, I'm gonna buy more time, and then he rides the bike, gets knocked off, and he's ready to fight a tornado of whatever these things are from the upside down. It's an unwinnable task, and I know we had this whole character moment where he was not going to run anymore, and like this isn't a winnable fight. This isn't
Yeah, this
against
isn't a situation that you don't run from. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like any sensible person would run because like
So
that's crazy.
and to have you have a trash can shield and a little makeshift spear, and we're going to take on everything here. So it doesn't really it's not like it's not like Dustin was on the other end here and we're trying to fight our way through to get to Dustin. It's like, what are you fighting for? And I didn't really get it, and it was just like that whole character moment kind of fell flat for me because the logic just wasn't there, other than we just need him to have a moment so that he can die, and that's really what it was.
Yeah, and the only thing that I can think of that like why they would do something like that is just because so you have all these bats that they have to get away from the house so that way, Steve and Nancy and Robin can get in there. But the fact that the bats they go inside and they can't keep them distracted, they didn't illustrate that well that maybe
Yes.
the bats would head back to where they were, but also it just it's like almost like a bad decision because it's like so you ran out there to die and they did their thing and they're just going to run back anyway, and it's like
Yeah.
to buy you time, but it's like I don't know if maybe the time would have been more valued if you would have survived and then given them a warning.
Yeah.
So it's just
And
kind of like I feel like it again. It's just like it's no fault on the actor. I thought the actor did a great job. Like I loved his performance. None of this is to them, but I have to put this squarely on the Duffer Brothers
yeah.
for
And we're
writing because it and like what I was gonna say earlier, but I just couldn't get it out was that to me, this season feels like it's on the cusp of trying to be a finale, but
yeah.
it can't be because there's season 5. So everything feels very disjointed where it's like these could be big character moments. These could be big things here, but we're not going to do it because we need to save that for season 5.
Yeah, and that's where it was like, and that was where it's like there were so many instances this season where we had to pull back on everything. Like the very beginning where they tried to misdirect you in thinking 11 was the one who killed everyone at the very beginning there, and it's like, I think everyone kind of had their hesitation to be like, this probably isn't it, but again, and then you confirm that yeah, it wasn't her, and then we kind of get the whole we've played so many times with Max's death, and it's like, no, we're here, no, we're not, we're here, no, we're not. It's like all these takebacks that they continuously do, where it's like you kind of lose faith into you're gonna get any big payoff. It was just like we're toting that line, we're not gonna cross that line ever in a negative way, because it's like, okay, we're ready for it, and plus. Again, with this big layover here, where it was like a month of us waiting with anticipation of Steve's gonna die, or like a main character is going to die, to kind of not have that really pay off and to even flirt with it and then take it back, it for me was just a negative mark.
I think that I'm not going to put the holdover on the Duffer Brothers or anybody in the creative side. That feels to me like a very Netflix made that decision, because Netflix has been flirting and has really been hurting recently in the streaming world, just because they don't have series that can be, talked about at the water cooler, like, every week. Like Disney does the weekly releases, Amazon does. Like all the bigger streaming services are going back to that week to week release schedule. Netflix is not, because it was their bread and butter for so long to binge. They had all
Yep.
of their stuff around binging. And, binging's cool, but it's literally like, okay, it gets talked about for what, a week, 2 weeks, and then it's gone
Yep.
because the next new thing is there, because everybody watched it and it's over. I understand that they're trying to get past that and they're trying to find a way through it, but it's just like, just bite the bullet and release this week to week if you want to build that, suspense that well. It just was weird. It's like, so you're going to release every episode except for the last two, and you're going to build all this anticipation for that finale?
Yeah. And to make the last one 2.5 hours was just like odd.
It
Like,
ended like all the conflict ended, and then there's 40 minutes of
yes.
just like seeing the wrap up, which I'm fine. I like the character stuff, I do, but it's just like this doesn't have to be this long. Like we could really sum a lot of this up really quickly.
And like getting into I don't know, do you want to talk real quick about Vecna versus 11, because I
Yeah.
just felt like it was so underwhelming. Um where like she is all tied up, into the tentacles and stuff, and then she kind of like focuses, gets out of it, and then like just knocks him down. And
Hmm.
then Nancy and Steve and Robin take it from there. And it was just like such a quick little, I thought like, okay, she's gonna knock him down, like how they had the little snowball fight where it's like, okay, she's gonna knock him down, he's gonna get up, and they're gonna have a decent fight here. And it was just not even close. And then
Yeah.
as soon as Steve, Robin, and Nancy were taking him on, I legitimately verbalized. I said they're gonna Michael Myers this, because I noticed the window right behind him.
I literally like that. I jumped out of my chair a little bit on that one. I was like, fucking Halloween. And I was wearing
Yep.
the shirt and everything. So I'm just like, God damn.
So it's like, and I like that little nod there. I'm glad, like we talked about, I'm glad that Vecna is going to be coming back. But it was just like that battle. Maybe they wanted it to be a little underwhelming to leave the fans wanting more. But, again, with what you were asking us to do in terms of how the time for us to view this, you needed more payoffs. And it seemed like, again, we're waiting for season 5.
Yeah, and I think like a point that you were bringing up there that was about Max, and the back and forth with her all season long, where they have that the Sean Levy episode that everybody seemed to love, where we got the song, the Kate Bush song, and
Yeah.
everything. Um, really tense stuff. I thought that was really solid, and I liked how it ended. It's like, okay, so we're not going to kill Max. That's cool. Because at the time, I was fine with that. I was like, all right, cool. We don't have to kill Max. Like, if you're going to kill anybody, I honestly didn't expect it to be her. But then to have us again have it where she's like, okay, he wants me. Like, cool, makes sense. That's fine. He goes in for the secondary kill, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, cool. So it's gonna get stopped again. I get that. Like, it's a little redundant, but whatever. Where you start to lose me is when he actually does start to kill her, and then you take it away again. And it's
Yeah.
just like, dude, like that's 4 times that you've said this season, oh no, Max is gonna die. Oh no. Oh no, she's oh no, no, she's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's like,
Eh,
what are you doing? Like, why? Like that just felt so like sloppy and just
it's like
like
you can't play that many times with a character's death like that and not have it pay off,
mhm.
and again, for me, even Max's death would have been a safe choice. I was really hoping for something. Again, I was prepared for Steve to die. I didn't want it to happen, but I really thought that's what we were going to get.
And
And
we
it's
spoke
just,
before this, and I thought it was going to be Nancy. I
yeah.
thought that that would have been a really big gut punch, because then that's Mike's sister. And for a while there, he was kind of like the main character
Yeah.
for a little bit, like our main guiding voice, him and 11. So it's like for Nancy to die, I thought, oh, because she kind of connects everybody in a
Yeah.
way, because she has been a part of every group.
And see, and that would have been very intriguing, like how you're saying, because she's such a connector piece for Invecna kind of he thrives on that kind of those deaths as we see with Max and what was her
Billy.
brother Billy. To have Nancy die would be almost his opening gateway for everybody. And can you imagine him trying to take over Mike as being with his 11 significant other? I think that would have been very an
It would have been
interesting choice.
great, yeah.
Yep.
Because Vecna's a good villain, and like the motivations are solid. It's just it just feels like you're pulling your punches, like I said earlier. Like I just felt like that was probably the biggest sin this committed this year, was just that like it just felt like everything was pulled. I just
Yeah.
never felt like we were this will definitely go down as like a very big hold me over season if season 5 comes out swinging and it's, everything that we were looking for from this one. And I just think that that hurts the momentum because you come off on such a high, in my opinion, with season 3, where it's just like that was such a high point. Like I thought that they really hit the ground running from episode 1 and that momentum stayed. That one to me feels the closest to um like you said like the first one feels like ET.
Yeah.
I think that season 2 from what I can recall from it kind of feels like Aliens, but it also has like some of that Stephen Kingy silver bullet kind of vibe to me,
Yeah.
as to where the third season feels really 80s and really like we're gonna do like Night of the Creeps, we're gonna do Terminator, we're gonna do all this genre stuff. And like I think it just really works. And I think the 80s thing kind of annoys me the most about this, but it's kind of gets a pass, like we had said in a few Sunday Scaries ago, where it's like this kind of kicked off the nostalgia boom.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to give
So
it a
it's their
pass.
thing.
But like they did it so well. And like I love that. And for this to just come in and just really feel like a non-starter. Like it just really felt like we were just like trying to get the engine to kick over, but we just every time we would get it going, it would shut off again after a couple minutes, and then
Yeah.
it just kind of ends with us being frustrated and closing the hood and going in for the night. Like
Yeah.
guess we'll try again tomorrow.
And that's where it's like, I don't know if the season felt a little too big. That was my concern when we knew Hopper was going to be in Russia, and it just felt like such a giant disconnect there because, again, not even from the very start, a lot of these characters did not intertwine in the slightest. Like you
No,
said, even at the very end, the last 15 minutes is where they really kind come back together, and it just felt like I don't know for the Hopper storyline in this one it, again, I felt no real connection to it. It just felt so distant for me that it was like, okay. I mean, I'm just waiting for them to get through this so that he can get back to Hawkins. And I wasn't that interested in a lot of their stuff seemed filler. Like, okay, we gotta have him sit in this warehouse and wait for a call. So let's and then we'll cut back to them here for a second later on. And it's just like I don't know. I don't like we said, they didn't get a lot to do. A lot of these characters did not have a lot to do in this entire season.
no, and it sucks. And I mean, like I think we've aired out a lot of our criticisms. Do you have anything more that you want to throw at this?
I mean, do you want to talk about the very end? Where do you think it's kind of going?
Yeah, we can definitely touch on that because like the last thing that I wanted to say, like just for clarification's sake, I know we've been tough on this, but I think that we can both still walk away saying that this isn't horrible.
No,
It's
no, not at all.
disappointing. It's I want to just clarify, just because
I
like I don't want anybody to get the impression that we're like this is bad, this is terrible. Like it's still there's a lot of really great executed stuff. There's a lot of great character moments. It's just disappointing
yeah,
because we think that there's so much potential that just for the first time in this series, I can truly say I don't think is being channeled or put into the best spot that it could be.
I like for me, like I could say that I think I was pretty happy with season 4 overall. The last
Hmm.
two episodes were really where it did not hit for me, and I can honestly say like going leaving season 4, I was underwhelmed, and that's really the only time I've had that feeling for Stranger Things. But I think overall, season 4 was strong. Um, even in the finale there, where it's like I didn't really connect with Eddie's death that much, but he played it so well at the end when he was dying. I
Oh
thought,
yeah, no, I mean it hit hard.
yeah. So it's like, even though I didn't feel a lot for the Eddie character, I did feel in that moment there where he was telling Dustin, he's gonna have to he's gonna take lead in the D&D party, and he goes, "I didn't run, did I?" And he go, then they cut back to "We're not heroes," all that stuff. I think that was very well played. The moment was great. It was well edited. And then when we were talking about character moments and them not getting a lot, Dustin had a great one at the end there when he
Oh,
was
with his
telling,
dad?
yes,
Yeah, dude. No, I love that.
I thought that was perfect. So it's like, there is stuff in here that is absolutely great filmmaking. Like, I still feel like, even with my critiques for season 4, I still think Stranger Things is one of the strongest television shows currently.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, so it's
And
like
that's why I think we can fling these criticisms at it because we are so
the bar
used
is
to
so
it
high.
being so on such a higher plateau that it's like I'm not going to sit here and just, you know, talk up something that I like so much just because I like it. Like if I'm
Yeah,
going to let you know what I'm upset about because like it's a series I've been watching since 2016, like we all have. Like we've all
we're
been
all invested.
loving it, and we all have Stranger Things merch and everything. Like we it's always nice and it's exciting when a new season comes out. And that's even for me saying like I have this kind of love-hate relationship with this series. Where it's just like I think when it hits, but when it's not hitting, it's not. And I think that this to me is the biggest season where it is a lot of false starts, where it's a lot of
Yeah,
just, oh, this is great. I like this. And then we slow down. And then, we start back up again, but then we slow down. And I just thought that that was, you know, not the best. And I want to go back and rewatch the other seasons now just because like I would like to see where season 2 ranks for me after having this cuz you
yeah,
say that it's a little stronger and maybe we were a little too harsh
yeah,
on it back in the day, but like so I'm curious to see what that's like, and it's been a long time. I've only ever seen the series each season once.
yeah,
So I really want to know, but I think I can definitively say that season 3 is still my favorite. I think that they really were just they hit everything with a
yeah.
huge check mark.
And that's why it's like, I think maybe we're a little harsher on season 4, is that such strong season 3 probably being the strongest one coming into it. You had big shoes to fill. So it's like almost an impossible task, I feel, especially with COVID and everything. It was very hard to
Yeah,
kind of live up to the expectations. But again, season 4 I think is extremely strong. It's just the ending part does not work for me. I Vecna, the first few episodes of this season, I mean, for me, were pretty terrifying. Where what was her name, Chrissy, in the bathroom?
such a great.
Um,
I really like everything they did with that character. I thought that that
yeah,
built tension very well.
and like, again, the ending to episode 1 of season 4, I think, was absolutely terrifying. Like,
Hmm.
very, again, people mention it's almost a joke at this point to say Nightmare on Elm Street vibes, but it is
It
very
is. Like
true.
he is that Freddy Krueger
Yeah,
esque character, and I think they're gonna play into a lot of that because they burn him at the end of this.
yeah,
So I bet you he's gonna have a lot more like burn scar tissue the next time we see him,
and
and they're
honest,
going to play into that. And he has
I
the
would,
clawed hand, just one
yeah,
hand,
and
you
I
know?
would love to see him coming after all the whole cast. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like how a Freddy Krueger would. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
coming for all of them, not just Max, and
And it
kind of
kinda
starting to
seems
pick them
like
up.
Will is finally about to do something after 2
Yes,
seasons.
and
They had
again, yeah,
sidelined him so hard after season 1.
yep, and that's what I was thinking too. It's like Will has just become such a side character now, so it's like I was waiting for him to turn it, into a villain or something.
But
So
he's
it's
already
like,
done that too. Like, they've already had him, in season 2 kinda be the bad guy.
yeah, yeah.
So it's like, it would just be weird to do that again.
I don't think, because even though he kind of was, he kind of wasn't, because he was fighting it. I'm waiting for Will to embrace it. Um, I don't
Think it's too late. I think if you do that in season 5, it's just gonna feel like a big cop out.
see. I don't think so. I'm on the other end there, where it's like I feel like season 2 he fought it so much, and he's been fighting it, that we've kind of been waiting for it to kind of fully commit. So I'm intrigued to see if he does fully embrace it, or I think it would be kind of a cop out to have him fight it. I think, especially where we're talking the relationship with him and Mike. and kind of seeing where Mike's going with 11 and Will kind of struggling with that. I would love to see him finally come to terms and embrace it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like your idea of having Mike go bad. I think that would have been interesting to
Yeah,
have the whole party because they established pretty heavily in this season that Mike was kind of the and I got to say this with our original group. So like the original trio of kids there, like he was the the driving force, the glue that brought them
yeah,
all together, like he got them to accept 11 and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like he's the heart of the group, they say. So for him to turn, yeah, that would have been pretty nuts. But again, I think how you do that, how you build into that, you kill Nancy. And
yeah,
then you have him get taken advantage of in the last season. I don't know. I think that's a missed opportunity, and like they could do it in season 5, but again, I just think like doing it in this season would have left such a big impact,
yeah,
and I just think that the we're killing Max, we're not killing Max, and then we kill Max, but Max isn't dead at the end is like
yeah.
so frustrating and just so why are we pulling these punches like this? Just do it. Like rip the
Just
band-aid
commit.
off. I get it, guys. Like you love your characters, you don't want to kill them. We love these characters too. But that's the beauty of it is you have these loved characters that yeah, people are going to be upset and it's going to be an uproar, but at the end of the day, people are going to remember your show and people are going to
Yeah,
think like, "Oh my god, remember when Steve died in Stranger Things season 4? Remember when Max died in Stranger Things season 4? Rip my heart out, dude." Like that's the stuff people will talk about.
and that's where
And
we kind of need these moments where
yeah,
we had talked about it off air, where um, you can't go into season 5 and having episode 1 Steve dies, episode 2 Dustin dies, episode 3 Lucas dies, where it's like we need as an audience a moment to mourn and breathe. And now that there's going to be deaths in season 5, I feel.
maybe
You can't.
they
Yeah,
they said there'd be deaths in this,
yeah,
and the
and
only person of note to me that died is um Eddie.
Eddie. And so it's like uh, uh, if there are in fact deaths in season 5, they're going to be diluted if too many happen all in a small period of time. So it's like they've kind of painted themselves into a corner a bit if you're gonna kind of do multiple deaths. So I don't know how they pace that one. That's gonna be an interesting problem they're gonna have to try and solve in season 5.
Yeah, no, I agree. It'll be tough, but I mean, we'll see where it goes. Um I think now we'll get into our final point here of just where do we think the series is headed? Luke, you want to open us up with your thoughts? I mean, we end the series with them all reuniting back at the old Hopper house, and we have our 11 and Hopper reunite. Joyce is there, everybody's there, and then we start seeing the spores or the whatever you want to call them, the little fungal things coming from the sky, and they pull up on this hill and we see that just Hawkins is like just engulfed in flame, and the clouds are spinning like they were when Vecna first got there, and
Yeah.
all the plants are just being consumed, kind of like what they did in season 2 with the pumpkin patches.
Yes.
Which I love that imagery in season 2. I thought that was just so great.
Season
um
2, man. I tell you, it
it's
really
probably
harnessed
underrated. I'm
something
gonna go
special.
back and watch it. I might watch that before I rewatch season 1 now, just because I do feel like I'm not giving it it's just
I'm
review
not.
here because like I haven't seen it in so long. So
Yeah, I'm not getting on my soapbox, but let me the level of excited. I just remember it came out on Halloween,
oh, that was so great.
and they were
Such a great release window.
and it opens up with them dressed as Ghostbusters going to school. And I mean, like, I had so much fun with that season. I remember.
Yeah,
I thought it
Max
was
has
perfect.
the Michael Myers mask, which they bring
Yes.
back in this
Yep.
one. I loved it. I thought when they were like, "Oh, you got a mask or something I could wear," I'm just like, they're bringing it back, and then they did, and I was just like, "Yes!" Like that's such a cool thing. I remember that has a Funko Pop for Max that's like really sought after with her and the Michael Myers mask. So
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
yeah, she's holding it with a butcher knife. So yep, I used to work at a record store that sold pops, so I know the market pretty well, or I did. So
Anyway, back to the outlook for season 5. So, I guess what that the Upside Down is officially melding and bleeding into the Hawkins universe,
It's
basically.
a part of it now.
Um, I am wrestling with it. Overall, I don't know if I'm very excited about it. This is kind of I remember looking at it when it was happening and thinking, this is kind of like Terminator, where um the part of the charm of Terminator is for that cybernetic organism to be transported through time into the normal world for Sarah Connor to be a server or John Connor to be living with his foster parents and in the art of I'm supposed to believe this is really what's happening. And I think that was the part of the charm of Stranger Things, to be like they all had this big secret where everyone in Hawkins did would not believe them even if they told them. And it's like with Terminator, we want pre-Judgment Day. We don't want post-Judgment Day. You so like with this, I don't think you want the potential of this to happen, but you don't really want to see it happen. And so I don't know necessarily what season 5 is going to look like. I know we had talked about on Sunday Scaries where Duffer said there's probably going to be some sort of time jump. So I don't really want this to be, hey, 2 years later and we're all dealing with the upside down in our universe and like this is just the world. I think that would be weird. It would be again, we've used the term several times here, a cop out in a sense. So I don't really know where it's going to go. I think off the top of my head, I would love to see some sort of kind of like the mist aspect here. Um, I think that would kind of be
Yeah.
intriguing.
I didn't even like my mind has been blank this whole time until you mentioned that. Like, now that's my expectation. So,
Yeah,
oh god, that'd be so cool. Like just having all the creatures come through and they're kind of dealing with it in their world. I mean, like you can make it really interesting with them kind of you really see the upside down melding with our world. So things are kind of really tossed and really trippy, but yeah, I don't really know exactly where this is all headed. I just hope that we have our character moments that our characters can still be taken care of. I do have faith that the Duffers are going to write these characters well. They do, even in this season. And again, just to stress that this is just a disappointing season. I still think if you need like a rating to justify it, I would still give this probably a 3.5 out of 5.
I think I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it's definitely very middle of the road, but it's not bad. It's just above average for me. I think there's enough to really like here, but I think the fact that the payoffs aren't as strong uh really hinder it. But yeah, as far as the future of this goes, I think that you know we've kind of danced around everything in this season. That if they come in with like just some gut punches, and really just take us on a journey, and don't really let your foot off the gas, like keep it going, keep the momentum, keep the tension up. You don't have to have 2 hour long episodes if it's not necessary.
Yeah,
Like I
keep it
think
lean and mean.
there's a lot of great stuff that they did. Like we didn't even really mention the Robert England stuff. Like that
Yeah,
whole story, the backstory to Vecna and everything was really strong too. I liked all of that, and I think that those are the moments that I was happy we had longer episodes for. But when we got towards the end and we're just kind of just having longer drawn out scenes just to for the sake of just the running time, like that's cool. Another thing I do want to mention before we wrap things up, now that it's in my head, is again something where it's like Hopper escapes the prison and is brought back to prison. They escape the prison again just to go back to the prison. It just felt like, why are we doing this? Why are
yeah,
we keep
back
going
and
back
forth,
and forth, back and
yeah,
forth? Like it just annoyed me. Even though I thought the prison fight scene at the end with the sword and everything was awesome. Like I
yeah.
really
I
liked
thought that
all of
was a
that.
lot of
I
fun.
thought the stuff with the Demodog was good.
And Murray with
Uh,
the flamethrower, very the
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, very the thing. Very cool. I like the setting of Russia. I thought there was a lot of cool stuff there. I love the dinner sequence where they're
Yeah,
all having their final meal. And I kept forgetting to mention this. I really loved harkening back to Hopper's backstory because we really haven't seen it since season one
yeah.
with his daughter and everything, and just him kind of saying
A
that.
lot of people forgot about that he had a
Really?
daughter.
Oh man, yeah. Because I mean, so much happens, but like, I always loved that. And I love the comparison he had there with just talking about like, his daughter, and then he starts transitioning into his feelings and thoughts for 11. And that's why I think their relationship is just so fucking strong in this
Yeah.
series. And it's the heart of this series to me, just because I feel for those characters so much and just the relationship they have. Like, I'm a big Jim Croce fan. Like, if my dad's listening to this, he's got that in the bag too. Like he brought that out of me. That, and I'd say Django Unchained were the biggest influence. So having him play "Don't Mess Around with Jim" in
Yeah.
season 2 and dancing with her to it, like, just really it hits so well. And I gotta give it that. So
And I think with Hopper's relationship with Eleven made a lot of people forget how flawed his character really is.
mhm.
Because I mean, like in season one, I think the opening is him laying there drunk.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's like you really forget the struggles that he's going with because he's kind of found some solace with almost adopting Eleven and kind of living the normal life that he had desired. But it's like now him being in the prison, we really got to remember what made him flawed to begin with.
yeah,
He hasn't forgotten about it, but I think a lot of the audience did.
absolutely. But yeah, I guess that probably wraps it up here for Stranger Things season 4. You got any final thoughts, Luke?
We talked season 4 here, and we're kind of a little dicey, but I really do think that um the Duffers looked at this and were like, well, we kind of got to pull a little bit of our punches for season 5. So I really do think going into season 5, the Duffers are going to come out swinging. So I think we're probably going to be in for a lot of twists and turns.
At this point, I would say they have to. And
Yeah,
I don't want that. I don't want to say that because like I don't want to put them in that corner, but I think, if they've done so well with the series so far that it's just one of those things where maybe they are painting themselves in this corner intentionally. But I think that, again, and I've said this with the recent Halloween series, if they can at least win us back with this next season, I think that maybe I'll look on season 4 a little less harshly,
yeah,
because as long as it's cohesive and it builds to it. They want to have the longer episodes as long as it's justified and it feels good. I'm fine with that. But don't don't do this thing that you've just established season that you like to do, where it's like back and forth. Will they? Won't they? We're gonna do this. We're not gonna do that. Like, don't, because
yeah.
that has overstayed its welcome for me in this, and that will definitely hinder my experience going forward. But yeah, I guess that about wraps us up here for Stranger Things. Again, apologies. I feel like I have to do this all the time for my kind of more negative outlook on things. I do love stuff. I really do.
He does not. He hates
I
everything.
have expectations, and I think that when
You're hard to please.
I think it's just, yeah, I'm getting there in my old age. I'm
You're
just
part of that Scream 5 social commentary.
oh fuck yeah, I guess I am. I'm part of the problem. I'm on there talking about how Stab 8 was an abortion to cinema and all this stuff. No, I do like Stranger Things. I know I have aired out my grievances, yes, but I think that when season 5 starts to come out, if it looks good and I'm excited, you'll see me getting back on the train. Like, I'll be there. I mean, I will. I'll be there opening night, just like Halloween 2018 and Kills disappoint me, but I'll still be there on Halloween Ends. I'll be there
Yeah,
opening night. Like, I'll do it.
that's how it
So
goes.
that is
Can't
what
stay
it is.
away.
But yeah, if you guys want to follow us at Twitter at SplattercastPod. You can keep up with us. We're always posting good stuff on there. Luke has had some pretty good traction today with his Mick Garris Psycho 4 conversation. A lot of
Oh man.
people hopping on that bandwagon there with you
We are
about
definitely
Psycho
going to be
4.
covering the Psycho franchise on the podcast.
Absolutely. I've only ever seen the first one, so like these sequels will be interesting because you like some of these sequels quite a bit. You really,
I love two. I really
yeah.
do.
So like
Y-
you've got a lot to say with this stuff. So
I always remember, you worked at the used media store, the Exchange. I don't know if we could say that, but I
yeah,
just
you can
did.
say it. I don't care.
But anyway, so like I remember coming into there and I hadn't seen uh any of the sequels to Psycho, and I remember like you were up at the front counter, and I was like, "Have you ever seen like Psycho 2? Because I'm hearing it's pretty good." It's some guy that worked. I don't know who it was because I didn't pay attention, but he laughed. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's not good. And then I went home and I watched it. And I was like, fucking guy doesn't even know what he's talking about.
I have no idea who that is. So
I don't know. I can't. I just remember the scenario. I can't even be like to describe who it was because I didn't actually look at him. I just know he laughed. So it's
okay.
like whoever that was, maybe he's listening to the podcast. I doubt it, but maybe down the road.
Hey,
Fucking guy doesn't
maybe.
know what he's talking about.
All right, come on and defend yourself. Message me if you worked with me, and we'll have a movie fights kind of deal here where you guys can hash it out over Psycho 2.
Done and done. Let's do it.
Absolutely. But yeah, if you guys want to follow us on there, it's the best way to keep up with us. Luke's always driving some great conversations up there, and I'm always blasting out our podcasts or shows whenever they post. And then, yeah, if you can also follow us on Spotify, you can find us there, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and Stitcher.
Yeah,
Anywhere else your podcasts are found.
which by the time this drops, what Tremors 2
Yes,
Aftershocks should already
Tremors
be
2
up.
Aftershocks will be up. So, yep, we can talk about that now. So yeah, we got that coming up, and then we got another couple interesting shows on the docket here. Some very topical ones, and I think a couple of curveballs will get thrown in pretty soon here. So we'll be interesting to see what we got. But we're 5 episodes deep in Splattercast, and God, what are we? Are we 5 in
Sunday
Sunday
Scaries.
Scaries now? Yeah,
Yeah.
we're 5 and 5 right now, so that's pretty good. And we have more content coming, so keep an eye out for that. We got a lot more things we want to do. We're just basically right now still getting the format down. So if you have any critiques, criticisms, please send them our way. If you just want to let us know that we're doing a good job, we'd also appreciate that as well. So yeah, that about wraps it up for me. So I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, we all go a little mad sometimes.